Hey guys, it's Sabrina. I make pottery here on this channel, and today I want to show you guys how to put a handle on a mug. But I also would just like to say that my camera is broken and I am filming this on my phone, which is fine. But like, I don't have a tripod for my phone and I was just trying to set it up and I literally just broke the handle off of this mug while trying to set my phone up, and that's why I'm holding it. And so anyways, I just wanted to ask you guys, so I just put a bunch of stuff in my Etsy shop, and if anyone wanted to buy some of it, that would be really cool because all of the money will be going towards fixing my camera, which is gonna be kind of a lot. So if you like watching my videos and would like to continue to watch them be good, then, you know, those are there. So there's a link in the description. You can also just look it up. It's Ceramic Sabrina. But yeah, so there's that. If you don't want to, that's also fine. You can just watch the video if you want. That would be cool too. Anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling, but that's how my life is going. So, also my hair is orange again, so that's fun. Let's make some handles. So, to start things off, we are going to need a bucket filled about halfway with water, and we're also going to need something round. This is just a random glaze container, and then I have some nice plastic that I'm going to put over that. This is for our handles to dry on once we are finished making them. And we are also going to need some clay, not a ton. My policy when it comes to handles is that if I have 5 mugs, I'm probably going to make 8 handles, at least 8 handles. And that's just because I like to have a choice in which handle I think looks best with each mug. So, you know, some of the handles end up a little bit thicker, some of them end up a little thinner, some are round, some are flat. And so I like to have an assortment to choose from. So I've got a little bit of clay right here, probably less than a pound. And I'm just gonna kind of pat this into a shape that kind of resembles a small potato. So this clay here is gonna get us probably 4 or 5 handles, so that'll be totally fine. I might even make it like a little bit thinner. So something like this, it's gonna be good. We have our clay, we have our bucket of water. The key in this technique is really to keep your hand nice and wet the whole time, so that your hand is able to glide right off of the clay instead of just ripping it off. So I'm always going to be dunking my hand into the bucket of water, making sure everything's nice and wet, and then I'm just kind of holding this like so that I can really still grab all this clay here, because that's what's going to become our handle. So the other thing I'm thinking about is what shape my other hand is making. So obviously if I'm going for a round handle, I'm going to want to keep my hand pretty round. And all I'm going to be doing is restricting these top 2 fingers, my thumb and this guy here. And I'm just going to be like squeezing that together. And if my hand is wet enough, it should start to just kind of like glide right off, and this should start to smooth out. And so I'll do it a few times one direction and then switch the positioning of my hand like that. So I'm getting my hand wet pretty frequently because I don't want to start gouging this or like ripping at it or anything. And so yeah, I'm just pulling down. My bottom fingers are they're not really applying any pressure, but they're helping keep everything nice and aligned. So like the bottom here is starting to get a little bit thick and weird, so I might just pull that off so it doesn't end up getting heavy, and then it might end up like ripping up here. That happens sometimes. I'm gonna zoom out just a bit, maybe even more. So Yeah, and it's nice to do this over the bucket just so it doesn't get super wet all over the table, but sometimes it be like that. So I like my handles to be like as thin as they can possibly be, without not being able to support the weight of the mug, obviously, but I think that it looks really nice to have a cute little thin handle. So, alright, so like down here, don't really need any of that, but something like this, I think that's pretty good, pretty thin. Could go with like a little tiny bit thinner, maybe just flatten it out a bit. And then I really only need like 6 inches of this, so I'm just gonna pinch that off at about 6 inches, and then I have my glaze container here that I'll show you. So that guy there is my glaze container that I just laid the handle on so that it can dry and it'll just stay nice and round, so it can start to get used to being a handle. So that's that. I'm just gonna whip up some more of these right here, and you guys can just watch and hang out. Gotta get the angle right. Just finished trimming all of these mugs here, and now we are going to attach our handles. So as you can see, I've got quite a few mugs and a lot more handles, so that's gonna be good because obviously I can kind of have my pick on which handle goes on which one of these mugs. So I'm gonna start with this guy just because I really enjoy the like little stubby shorter mugs that I've been whipping up lately. And then all my other mugs, I'm just gonna give them a really good spray and then keep them wrapped up in plastic because I don't want them to dry out too much because they're at a pretty good dryness. I did have some of them dry out a little too much. I actually had 2 casualties in my trimming tonight, so that sucks, but you know, it's the name of the game. So it'll be all right. So this mug is on the shorter side. It's pretty round, so I know I'm gonna want a handle that kind of has that same feeling to it. So I'm seeing one right here that I think might work pretty well. I don't know if it'll focus. I don't know how to do this, I'm sorry. But if you can see, I'll kind of just pretend to attach my handle, you know? So like, okay, what if that was the handle? Or what if that was the handle? Like that, you know, that sort of idea. So I know that I'm really only gonna need part of this. So I'm gonna actually cut off a good chunk of it, because that's gonna make it a lot easier for me to imagine where I want this to go. So if I just kind of go around, I kind of like this big exaggerated handle on it, but I know it's not everyone's aesthetic, but sometimes I just like a goofy handle, like an obnoxious handle almost. Ooh, this one, that looks cute. This one, you can kind of like stick it on there a little bit. just to kind of view it. But like, look at that. It's just a cute little round handle guy. But it's still looking a little big. My mugs always tend to be really small, which is fine. But the handles are also fairly small. Like you can usually only fit like two or three fingers in there if you're lucky. But oh well. So there you can see I kind of have my handle applied. I kind of like that. I think it looks maybe a little big, but I'm not super mad at it. I think that's cute too. I might just take off a little tiny bit more. Alright. Cool. And then I'm also paying attention to the angles that I'm cutting these edges at. So instead of just having it be like a straight up and down line, I actually will cut them to match the curvature of the mug. So that's what that is. So the next thing I like to look at is, obviously I like to make sure that this is still round. Sometimes it can get a little malformed, which is fine. And then I kind of like to look and see, is there anywhere on the rim that's looking weird? You know, like if I had like a thin spot or a thick spot or anything, because obviously like you're not going to really put your mouth where the handle is, so that's one way to take care of that. Or I don't know, I just kind of look and see like, is there anything I want to kind of hide by adding this handle? So on this one, we're actually looking pretty good. So what I am going to do is kind of visualize where I want that handle to go. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just kind of stick it on there a bit. And I'm going to use my pin tool and just kind of draw a little outline of where those connection spots are going to be. So then I know on my mug that I'm going to need to score those spots up. So then with the pin tool, we're just going to make some really rough lines. You want these lines to be pretty deep. And then I like to just go right in with the spray bottle and spray those spots and then rough it up a little bit more, because with the addition of the water, it's going to create what's called slip, which is just like a really liquid clay, and it kind of acts like a bonding for connecting clay. So got that. Next thing I'm going to do is same thing to these spots on the handle. I'm probably not going to add water to the handle because I know the handle is going to be more wet. Pretty much I made all these handles and then I trimmed my, what is it? 7 mugs. My 7 mugs and the 2 mugs that didn't work out. And by the time I did all that, my handles are dry enough now that they're really good consistency. So I've scored up my edges. Next thing I'm going to do is just press it onto my mug. So it's gonna hopefully kind of connect pretty quickly. But I also like to just kind of look at it from this angle and make sure that my handle is straight, you know, that the 2 connection spots are right above each other. Because sometimes I'll make a mug and put the handle on and I don't even notice it until after everything's glazed and done. But the handle is completely off center and that's very annoying. So now that I've got my connection, I kind of just want to kind of take the handle and just push it inwards in both of these spots just to really think about those 2 rough spots connecting to each other and really kind of acting like Velcro and really just attaching to each other. And then I'm just smearing out the connection spots under there where all the seams are. I kind of want to do this until I can't see clearly where things were connected. I think if those seams are still visible, like this right here, like you can totally see where that was connected versus like here, it's looking a little bit more smoothed out there. So that's what we're looking for, because then it probably won't crack. Sometimes it happens, but we're gonna do our best to make sure that our handles go on okay. The other good thing about letting the handles dry up a little bit more is that they hold their shape pretty well, so I'm able to kind of like form this. If I want it to be a little more upright, I can push it up and it will kind of hold its shape, but I'm into this more sideways shape. I think it matches pretty well. I like to really focus on pairing the handle with a mug that's going to look good. Alright, so now that I have all those seams kind of covered up, I'm not really able to get to this part and then also that part on the inside there with my fingers, so I'm just going to spray a little bit of water, and then I like to go in with a smaller brush like this, and then we can just kind of use that brush to get into those little crevices that otherwise we wouldn't be able to reach, because it will still crack there. The mug doesn't care that you can't get in there. You're like, hey man, I tried my best. Mug will still crack. So I like to go in there, and then same thing on the inside here. Just going in with that paintbrush and just smoothing it all out until I don't really see where that separation is. And then I can use it to kind of smooth out just everything on there. Just make sure it's nice and smooth as you do. So sometimes what I like to do is like in this spot right here, sometimes it gets like really thin. It's like, I don't know if you can see, but like it's kind of exposed there, you know, so I feel like it might end up cracking there. It might end up tearing away from the body of the mug, and then I'm gonna be irritated. So what I'm gonna do to hopefully prevent that is I'm just gonna make a little tiny guy, little tiny bead of clay, and I'm just gonna roll it into kind of like a little rice sort of a shape, and then I'm just gonna rough it up in here just a little bit. So I want to rough up the mug, rough up the handle, maybe even get some water in there. And then I'm going to kind of rough up this little rice guy. And then I'm just going to just put it right there. And then using various tools, I'm just going to kind of push that in there like so. And I want to think about smearing it up the wall, smearing it up the handle. So that clay is kind of going to just kind of fill in that little area, and hopefully it won't crack. It might still crack, but it might not, so you're just gonna have to wait and see. But it's probably gonna be fine. And then just going in with my brush. Sometimes I like to use like the end of a paintbrush just to kind of like flatten it out. It kind of has like the same effect as your fingertip, but just a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to get in there. And then same thing, just making sure it's all nice and smooth. So then you can see that now it's a little bit thicker there. It's got a little bit more of a chance at survival, or at least that's the theory, that's the hope, that's the ideal world. So we've got our handle on. I'm pretty happy with the shape, pretty happy with the connections we have made. And yeah, next thing I'm gonna do is wrap this guy up with some plastic, because I really don't want this handle to dry out very quickly. And then once it firms up a little bit, I'll be able to go in with a sponge and kind of smooth everything out. You know, any of like the wrinkles or just like little crumbs and stuff that might be hanging out on there. We'll be able to clean that up, and then we will decorate it and we will put her in the kiln, and then we will have a nice piece of bisqueware on our hands, and from there we will glaze it, and eventually it will be a nice finished mug. But that is how we make a handle and put her on. So hopefully you found that to be enjoyable and educational, or if nothing else, I hope it was fun. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like if you did enjoy it, and leave me a comment down below, and you can also subscribe for more pottery related content. Until then, I will be making some pots, so you guys have a good one. See ya.